chosen one. The generational cycle of silence has finally shattered, and the shadows can no longer hide the truth. Everybody knows what they did to you and to others. This family unit's insidious secret is out, and the weight of this exposure is crushing those who plotted your downfall. While they sit in the darkness, watching your house glow with the light of true healing, their own parasitic lies are consuming them from the inside. Let me tell you what this family was really running: a business, generational, passed down like a family recipe. Except what they were harvesting wasn't crops, it was light, it was creativity, it was the divine spark in chosen ones like you. There's someone at the center of this. This person is holding something, but what looks like love is actually control. What looks like care is actually harvest. This person has been trying to hold this family unit together, trying to keep everyone looking happy, trying to keep everyone looking blessed, trying to keep everyone looking like perfection incarnate. And next to this person stands another, also holding something, also invested in maintaining this image. This brand they built around being healers, being helpers, being the ones who know how to access divine favor. But it's all performance, all mask, all lies built on more lies. These people are not working alone. There's a whole community, a circle within a circle. The people on the outside think they're part of something beautiful, something spiritual, something divinely guided. But the people on the inside know it's a business. They have quotas, they have targets. They compare notes on who they're working on and how effective their methods are. You were a target, specifically by name. These people knew about you before you knew about yourself. They identified you as a threat when you were still young, because they could see your potential. They could see what you would become if they didn't intervene. So they intervened early. They placed blocks on your foundation, your home, your sense of safety. They consulted practitioners. They were told that if they could wound you deeply enough in childhood, if they could make you doubt your own worth, if they could convince you that you weren't chosen for anything special, you would never rise, you would never heal, you would never become the lighthouse you were meant to be. But your first people had other plans. Your original ancestors, the ones who carry big cat energy, lion energy, fierce protective mother energy. They've been protecting you this whole time, waiting for you to be ready, waiting for you to start healing. And when you did, they moved into action. Someone spent serious money on you. Not a few $100s for supplies, tens of thousands, maybe more. They paid practitioners, they paid people who do spiritual work for hire, they paid to keep you blocked, they paid to keep you wounded, they paid to make sure certain opportunities never reached you. But it wasn't just spiritual spending. Real money is involved too. Money that was supposed to go to vulnerable people, to children, to charitable causes this family claimed to support, except the money never made it to those people. It got redirected. They skimmed it off the top. They used it for personal expenses, while the public thought generosity was flowing. Financial records tell a story about someone who presented as generous but operated with greed, someone who talked about community but built personal wealth, someone who used the language of faith and healing to access bank accounts. And some of this money was taken in your name. They signed documents without your permission. They opened accounts using your information. Identity fraud on a level that crosses into criminal territory. They assumed that family connection meant unlimited access, that blood relation meant ownership of your identity. The masks are cracking now, in public, where they can't control it. This family that looked so perfect, the image is shattering. People are starting to see the difference between what they present and what actually exists, between what they preach and what they practice, between the performance and the reality. And once people start questioning one thing, they question everything. If lies existed about money, what else was false? If healing was fake, what else was performance? If they manipulated this, what else did they control? The awareness is spreading. Many thoughts, many words. People are talking, people are comparing notes. people are realizing they had identical experiences. The same lies were told to everyone, the same manipulation was deployed, the same methods were used, and now people are coming together, and their collective testimony is devastating. Let me tell you about patterns. Because patterns are what's destroying this operation. Not one incident, not one accusation, but the unmistakable, undeniable, documented pattern of behavior that repeats across time, across people, across situations. There's a pattern in how they selected targets. Young, gifted, connected to something bigger, people who had light that could be harvested, people who had influence that could be borrowed, people who had resources that could be extracted. You fit that pattern perfectly, and so did dozens of others. There's a pattern in how the operation worked. They started with love bombing. They made targets feel special. They made them feel chosen. They made them feel like they were part of something rare and beautiful. Then came the isolation, subtle at first. They suggested distance from people who don't understand, from family who can't see growth, from friends who aren't on the same level. If these words stirred your consciousness, hype this video to help more chosen ones awaken to this. Then came the extraction. Your time, your energy, your money, your connections, your ideas. They always framed it as contribution, as investment, as partnership, but somehow targets were always contributing more than they were receiving, always investing more than they were getting back, always the one making sacrifices while others accumulated benefits. And when questioning started, when you started noticing the imbalance, that's when the punishment arrived. Silent treatment, passive aggression. Suddenly they questioned your spiritual advancement. Suddenly they said you had blockages you needed to work through. Suddenly you became the problem that needed fixing. This pattern played out identically with person after person after person, different faces, different names, different circumstances, but the same exact sequence, the same manipulation tactics, the same emotional exploitation, the same financial extraction, the same spiritual abuse. And now all these people are comparing notes, they're creating timelines, they're mapping out the pattern, they're showing how the same language was used on everyone, how the same promises were made, how the same tactics were deployed, how the same outcomes resulted. You can't explain that away. You can't call it coincidence. You can't blame everyone else for being negative or wounded or jealous. When the pattern is this clear, this consistent, this documented, it's proof of intentional, systematic abuse. Your experience wasn't unique, but your healing was. Because while others are just now processing what happened to them, you've been doing that work for years. While others are just now finding their voice, you've been speaking truth. While others are just now setting boundaries, you've been protected by walls nobody can penetrate. You were ahead of the curve on this. You saw it early. You got out early. You healed early. And now you're watching everyone else arrive at conclusions you reached long ago. You're watching collective consciousness catch up to where you've been standing. Here's where the universe draws a line. Here's where divine justice stops being patient. Here's where consequences accelerate from eventual to immediate. The children. Because children are involved in this story, and what was done to them activates a level of protection that doesn't negotiate. Some of these children are grown now. They're adults carrying wounds from a childhood they're only beginning to understand. They were used as content, as proof of the perfect family, as evidence of divine blessing. But behind the cameras, behind the posts, behind the curated image, neglect happened. Their needs got ignored. Their pain got dismissed, and some of these children are still young, still in that environment, still being used, still being exposed to things no child should experience. And people are watching now, not followers, not fans, authorities, people with power to remove children from harmful situations, people who take this seriously. Something about housing is being investigated, property, real estate, where these children are living. Documents are being reviewed, living conditions are being assessed, and what investigators are finding doesn't match what the public has been shown. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing to put yourself to the test. If you're still here, that means something, but talk is cheap. Real chosen ones take action. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve divine justice. You put on the headphones, press play, and watch your enemies choke on the rope their own lies created. If you're done consuming and ready to prove you're chosen, start your Destiny Engine for $1 today. Join the Obsidian Inner Order live checks and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. This is the breaking point. This is what shifts everything from concerning to criminal. This is where people who are on the fence pick a side, because you can manipulate adults all day. Adults can choose to ignore red flags. Adults can choose to stay in toxic situations, but children don't have that choice. And when truth about the children comes out, when people see what was really happening behind the perfect family image, support evaporates, defenders go silent, benefit of the doubt disappears. Because nobody wants to be on record defending someone who harmed children. Your own inner child is healing through all of this, the part of you that was wounded when you were young, the part that was targeted before you could defend yourself. That part is watching justice unfold and feeling something you haven't felt in years. Safety, validation, proof that you weren't imagining things, proof that what you felt happening was actually happening. Let me tell you about your dream space, about what's been happening while you sleep, about the battles you've been winning without even knowing it. Because chosen one, invasion used to happen. They used to infiltrate your dreams. They used to plant nightmares. They used to send fear. They used to create confusion that would bleed into your waking life. But something changed. Your protection strengthened. Your boundaries solidified. And now when they try to access your dream state, they get burned. Literal pushing back with force, sent back to sender, rejected so completely that getting close becomes impossible. And they're furious about it. They want to know what you're doing, what practices you're using, what prayers you're saying, what protection you've activated. They need to know so they can find a workaround, so they can breach your defenses again, so they can regain access and resume the harvest. But that information isn't available to them. Your spiritual technology is yours, your methods are yours, your connection to your ancestors is yours, and it's all locked down tight, guarded by forces they can't manipulate or negotiate with. There's a candle burning in this story, burning so bright it's almost blinding. That's you, that's your light. That's what happens when you heal something generational, when you break a curse that was meant to be permanent, when you step into your purpose despite everything they did to prevent it. And that bright burning light is setting things on fire, not your things, their lies, their masks, their carefully constructed facades. Everything they built on darkness can't survive in that much light. Everything they hid in shadow gets exposed. Everything fake gets revealed for what it really is. They're panicking because this wasn't supposed to be possible. They were told you would never heal this. They were promised their methods would work. They invested everything in keeping you small. And now you're not just healed, you're shining. You're thriving. You're becoming exactly who they tried to prevent you from becoming. You know what happens when a secret this big starts to crack? It doesn't just leak, it floods. One person mentions something they noticed, then another person says they saw the same thing. Then someone else pulls out receipts, actual screenshots, actual documentation, actual proof that what everyone suspected was actually happening. The whispers are becoming roars now. What used to be quiet conversations in private messages are now public call-outs. What used to be reluctant hesitation is now bold declaration. What used to be isolated complaints are now coordinated testimonies, and this family can feel it. They can feel the ground shifting underneath them. They can feel their control slipping. It's like trying to hold water in clenched fists. The more they squeeze, the more leaks out between their fingers. Someone recorded conversations, someone kept emails, someone saved voice messages, someone documented the contradictions between public statements and private reality. And all of that is surfacing now. All of it is being shared. All of it is being verified by multiple sources. The algorithm is working against them too. You know how social media works. Once enough people start talking about something, amplification happens. Once enough people share similar experiences, the platform starts suggesting those posts to others. Once enough keywords get repeated, trending status arrives. And chosen one, your name keeps appearing in these conversations, not because you're talking, but because people are finally understanding what was done to you. They're recognizing the pattern, they're identifying the tactics, they're assembling timelines and realizing you were telling the truth years ago when nobody wanted to listen. People are apologizing to you now, reaching out, saying they should have believed you sooner, saying they see it clearly now, saying they're sorry for defending the ones who were hurting you, and you get to decide how you receive those apologies. You get to decide what forgiveness looks like for you. You get to decide who gets access to your energy moving forward. You don't need those apologies to be vindicated. You don't need their acknowledgement to know you were right. You don't need their validation to feel whole. You already healed. You already moved on. You already stepped into your purpose. Their awakening is happening on their timeline, but your liberation already happened on yours. Let me break down how this operation actually worked. Because once you see the business model, you can't unsee it. Once you understand the structure, everything makes sense. Every manipulation, every tactic, every carefully crafted moment, they presented themselves as healers, as guides, as people with special access to divine wisdom. But what they actually ran was a multi-level extraction system, and you were raw material. Your pain was inventory. Your healing journey was their product. Your transformation was their marketing. Here's how it worked. They identified someone going through difficult times, someone seeking answers, someone open to spiritual guidance, someone vulnerable, not weak, vulnerable. There's a difference. Vulnerability is actually strength, but they weaponized it. They offered help, free at first, a session, some guidance that actually felt helpful, because it was designed to feel helpful. It was designed to create trust. It was designed to make you believe they had something real to offer. Hook set. Then came the upsell. The free thing was just the surface. If you really wanted to heal, if you really wanted to transform, if you really wanted to access your highest potential, you needed the deeper work, the intensive, the program, the private sessions, and that came with a price tag, but they didn't present it as a transaction. They presented it as an investment in yourself, as honoring your healing, as showing the universe you're serious. And if you hesitated because of money, well, that was just your scarcity mindset. That was just your resistance to receiving. That was just proof you weren't ready for the transformation you claimed to want. So people paid because they wanted to heal, because they believed in the promise, because they trusted that these people had their best interests at heart. And what did they get? More access to the same people selling them more things, more sessions that led to more programs, that led to more intensives, that led to more certifications. The certification is where it gets really clever, because now you're not just a client, you're a practitioner. You can offer these services to others. You can build your own practice. You can create your own income, except you're using their methods, their language, their framework, and you're sending people back to them for the advanced training, for the next level, for the real transformation. It's a pyramid dressed up in spiritual language. It's multi-level marketing disguised as healing. It's extraction disguised as expansion. And it's brilliant in design, because it uses people's genuine desire to heal as the mechanism for exploitation. Your money went into this system. Your time fed this machine. Your energy fueled this operation. And what did you get back? Temporary highs, moments of feeling special, glimpses of feeling chosen, but never actual sustainable healing, never real transformation, never genuine empowerment, because if you actually healed, you'd stop being a customer. The business model required you to stay wounded, to stay seeking, to stay believing that the next program, the next level, the next intensive would finally be the thing that works. It required you to stay dependent on their validation, their approval, their acknowledgement that you were making progress, but you broke out of that cycle. You stopped feeding the machine. You stopped paying for breadcrumbs of validation. You stopped believing that healing had to cost you everything. You found another way, a real way, a way that actually led to transformation instead of just temporary relief. And when you left, when you healed, when you stepped into your power outside their system, you became a threat. Because you were proof the system wasn't necessary. You were evidence that people could heal without them. You were walking testimony that their methods weren't the only way or the best way. That's why they came after you so hard. That's why they tried to discredit you. That's why they worked to isolate you from others who might listen to your story. Because your freedom threatened their business model, your healing exposed their exploitation, your transformation revealed their manipulation. What's coming out now isn't just one scandal, it's layer after layer after layer of deception. Each revelation is more shocking than the last. Each exposure reveals something deeper. Each truth leads to more questions that demand answers. First it was the money. That was big enough on its own. Financial impropriety, misuse of funds, questionable transactions. But then people started looking closer at where that money came from, who was being pressured to give, who was being manipulated into donating, who was being told their financial struggles were spiritual blockages that could only be cleared through generous giving. Then came the stories about the inner circle, the people closest to this family, the ones who saw everything, and what they saw was nothing like what was presented publicly. Behind the posts about gratitude and abundance was constant chaos. Behind the messages about peace and alignment was perpetual drama. Behind the image of spiritual mastery was absolute dysfunction. People are sharing stories about being asked to lie, to cover for inconsistencies, to maintain the illusion even when they knew it was false. They're talking about being threatened when they considered leaving, about being told they'd lose everything if they spoke out, about being made to sign agreements that they now realize weren't legally enforceable but were designed to create fear. The most shocking revelations involve the children. Not just neglect, not just using them for content, but actively harming them in ways that make people physically ill to hear about. The details are emerging slowly because authorities are handling them, but enough has leaked that people understand the severity, that people recognize this wasn't just poor parenting, this was abuse. And every revelation shifts the narrative further. What started as maybe some truth exists in the criticism has become how did we not see this sooner? What began as let's wait for all the facts has turned into the facts are worse than we imagined. What was innocent until proven guilty is now the evidence is overwhelming. Your name keeps appearing in these conversations. People are going back through old posts, old videos, old interactions, and they're seeing that you tried to tell them, that you dropped hints, that you set boundaries that seemed extreme at the time, but make perfect sense now. Someone found a comment you made years ago, just a simple statement about trusting your intuition, about recognizing when something feels off, about honoring your need to step back. And people are sharing that comment now, like it was prophecy, like you knew then what everyone is just discovering now. And you did. You absolutely did. Something is changing in how people see you. You can feel it. The energy has shifted. Where skepticism used to exist, respect now lives. Where doubt used to sit, recognition now stands. Where dismissal used to happen, acknowledgement now flows. People who avoided you are reaching out. People who ghosted you are apologizing. People who sided against you are admitting they were wrong. And it's not because you changed, You've been the same person all along. What changed is their ability to see clearly. What shifted is their willingness to acknowledge truth. This is what vindication feels like in real time. Not bitter, not vengeful, just clear, just obvious, just undeniable. You were telling truth. You were seeing accurately. You were protecting yourself appropriately. And now everyone knows it. But the vindication isn't even the best part. The best part is what's flowing into your life now that the blocks are removed, now that the interference is gone, now that the people who were working against you are too busy with their own consequences to focus on you. Opportunities are appearing that weren't there before. Doors are opening that were previously locked. Connections are forming that were previously prevented. It's like someone removed a dam and now everything that was backed up is rushing through. Money is moving differently. Not in some abstract spiritual sense, in actual tangible ways. Things you were owed are being paid, settlements are being reached, contracts are being honored, income streams that were blocked are flowing freely, and it's not a struggle, it's not a fight, it's just happening. Your creativity is exploding, ideas are coming faster than you can capture them. Projects are developing with ease instead of resistance. The work you're producing is better than anything you've created before because you're not creating from wound anymore. You're creating from wholeness. You're creating from overflow. You're creating from alignment. People are noticing. The right people, not the masses, not everyone, but the ones who are meant to connect with your work, the ones who are meant to support your mission, the ones who are meant to collaborate with your vision. They're finding you, they're reaching out, they're showing up ready to contribute. This is what happens when you're operating from your purpose instead of your pain, when you're functioning from your power instead of your trauma, when you're moving from your calling instead of your coping. Everything shifts, everything accelerates, everything aligns. Your energy is magnetic right now, not desperate, not needy, not seeking, just magnetic, naturally attracting what's meant for you, effortlessly repelling what's not, operating as a clear yes or no, no gray area, no confusion, no mixed signals. This is the power of healed energy. This is the impact of cleared space. This is the result of doing the work even when nobody believed it mattered. You put in the hours, you did the healing, you broke the cycles, and now you're experiencing the payoff. There's a warrant, legal paperwork with a name on it, authorization to arrest, permission to detain, and it's coming. Not someday, not eventually, soon. Very soon. The investigation is complete, the case is built, the evidence is compiled, and it's solid, it's airtight, it's prosecutable. This isn't going to be one of those situations where someone gets away on a technicality. This is locked, this is done, this is happening. When the arrest comes, it will shock people who still believe the image. They'll rush to defend, they'll claim misunderstanding, they'll attack anyone suggesting guilt. But the evidence is going to speak for itself, and as more details emerge, those defenders are going to get very quiet. The charges are serious: fraud, identity theft, child endangerment, maybe more, things that carry real consequences, things that can't be prayed away or manifested away or manipulated away, legal, binding, enforceable. And that person in the car, the one watching you, the one seething with rage, they're about to have much bigger problems than monitoring your life. They're about to be far too busy with their own legal troubles to worry about what you're doing. This is divine justice manifesting in the physical realm. This is karma coming full circle. This is the universe balancing scales that have been tilted for too long. And it's perfect, it's fair, it's exactly what needs to happen. Your vindication is here, not just spiritual vindication, legal vindication, public vindication. Everyone is about to see what they did. Everyone is about to know the truth. Everyone is about to understand that you weren't exaggerating. You weren't bitter. You weren't making it up. You were telling the truth the whole time. You've got a miracle coming, chosen one. But it's not the kind you have to work for. It's not the kind you have to earn or deserve or prove yourself worthy of. It's the kind that's already yours, already ordained, already on its way. You just have to release control and let it arrive. A powerful energy shift has occurred. Something cosmic. Something that changed the entire playing field. And it happened when you healed that generational wound, when you broke that family curse, when you chose yourself despite everything and everyone telling you not to. Your resources are about to change dramatically. Money that was blocked is flowing. Opportunities that were prevented are opening. Connections that were blocked are forming. And it's all protected, sealed, ordained. Nobody can intercept it. Nobody can steal it. Nobody can stop it. But something important is being communicated. Keep this quiet. Don't broadcast every blessing. Don't announce every win. Build your nest egg in private. Receive in silence. Because vultures still circle. People still exist who would love to attach themselves to your success. Energy vampires still look for new hosts. So you receive with gratitude. You enjoy with fullness. You use with wisdom. But you don't perform it. You don't prove it. You don't make it public spectacle. You just live it. Quietly, powerfully, completely. Divine timing is perfect. You might have wanted this vindication sooner. You might have wanted justice to come faster. You might have wished truth came out years ago. But it's happening exactly when it's supposed to happen. When you're strong enough to handle it. When you're healed enough to not need it. When you're elevated enough to not be defined by it. If this had happened when you were still wounded, bitterness might have been fueled. If this had occurred when you were still angry, weaponization for revenge might have happened. If this had surfaced when you were still broken, re-traumatization might have occurred. But it's happening now, when you're whole, when you're clear, when you're powerful. That's divine intelligence at work. That's cosmic precision. That's perfect orchestration. Everything happening exactly when and how it needs to happen for your highest good and the highest good of everyone involved. The miracle isn't just that vindication is happening. The miracle is who you became while waiting for vindication. The miracle is the healing you did before anyone acknowledged you needed healing. The miracle is the strength you built while people questioned if you were even wounded. The miracle is you. The secrets are out. The truth is known. The evidence is public. Everyone sees what got done to you and to others. This family unit's insidious operation is exposed, finished, over, and there's no coming back from this level of revelation. Your bloodline is healed. Future generations won't carry these wounds. They'll be born free of these curses. The chain is broken. The cycle is ended. The pattern is destroyed. And you're the one who did it. You're the one who said enough. You're the one who chose differently. So when you hear purple rain now, let it mean something different. Let it mean victory. Let it mean justice. Let it mean the end of their reign and the beginning of yours. Let it mean you survived, you healed, you rose, you won, chosen one. You're not recovering from what got done. You're not surviving despite what got done. You're thriving because of who you are. You're dominating because that's your birthright. You're shining because that's your nature. And nothing done could change that. Nothing tried could stop that. Nothing invested could prevent that. The family thought secrets could stay hidden forever, thought the inner circle would never break, thought victims would never find each other, thought methods were foolproof, thought power was permanent, wrong about everything. What got done to you and to others is now public knowledge. Whispers became conversations, conversations became testimonies, testimonies became evidence, evidence became charges, charges became consequences, and consequences are permanent. You don't need to track every development. You don't need to follow every update. You don't need to watch every domino fall. You already know how this ends. Justice wins. Truth prevails. Light exposes darkness. And chosen ones like you rise into the life always meant to be lived. Purple Rain is playing, but it's your victory song now. Your liberation anthem. your reminder that you survived the storm and came out shining, that you walked through fire and emerged refined, that you descended into darkness and ascended in light. The car is empty now, the watcher is gone, the threat is neutralized, the energy is clear, the path is open, the future is bright, and you're walking forward into blessings so big, so beautiful, so beyond what you even imagined, that looking back doesn't even cross your mind. You're free, chosen one, completely, totally, permanently free, and everyone knows what got done, and everyone knows you survived it, and everyone knows you're thriving now. And that's the truth that will echo through generations, not their crimes, your victory, not their secrets, your liberation, not their shame, your glory. This is the end of their story and the beginning of yours. Let it be written, let it be known, let it be celebrated. You won,